That's not to take anything down. I want people to understand, just because you're sacrificed, that doesn't mean you can't be a Pro Bowl receiver and make it to the Super Bowl. Okay. This notion that you can't be that. Jerry went every year that every team he ever played on, he went to the Super Bowl. And he sacrificed nothing. Michael Irvin went every year they won the Super Bowl. He was in the Pro Bowl. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have to sacrifice. But you also have to understand is that sometimes we're going to have to run the ball, sometimes we have to throw it to someone else, and you have to be willing to understand that. So I get your point on that side.
But I get your point on Aaron is just cooler. Tom is not cool. You go crazy. It like turns your stomach to see some of his social posts because they're lame, they're nerdy, they're beneath his dignity. You're like, who's that? You can't be a franchise quarterback. You can't make a case you're the GOAT when you post the way you post those silly things on social media.
Skip, when you look at it, the guy he's the only quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, with 3 40 touchdown passing season, and he's never had double-digit interceptions in those seasons. Skip, that's ridiculous.
Okay, well, here's what's ridiculous to me. Aaron Rodgers has made it to 4 championship games, obviously all NFC since he's been in Green Bay.
Yes.
And go look at his QBRs in those 4 games. He won 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4? Wow. So in those 4 games, the only one he won was when Jay Cutler got stuck on the bicycle because he had, some sort of knee injury. I'm still not sure what it was, but it was badly sprained. I think it was like a grade 1 sprain. And he wound up the whole second half at Chicago because they had the home play, the NFC Championship game, riding the bike in the second half as Caleb Haney replaced him. And Aaron Rodgers almost coughed up that one, but managed to survive. And if you look at his QBRs for the 4 games, the next one was at Seattle. All of them have been on the road, obviously. At Seattle, at Atlanta, and then last year at San Francisco. His average QBR for those 4 games has been 58. Yeah. That's just a little above average because he's been mostly average in those games, and he's 1 and 3 in those games.
But if you look at his defense has been below average in those games. You look at the games that he's lost. You look at last year, San Francisco, how many points did his defense give up? If you look at the year they lost to Atlanta, how many points did his defense give up? Granted, Aaron Rodgers could have played a lot better in some of those ball games.
Last year at San Francisco, he had a QBR of 23 because he coughed it up. Twice on interceptions, once on a lost fumble.
Yeah, I mean, you see what happens when Brady's defense give up 30 points? They lose Super Bowls.
So Tom Brady in championship games, obviously in the AFC, is 9 and 4. If you just look at their overall playoff records, Aaron has that one road run to a Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
Won it with 4 straight wins, 3 on the road, 1 neutral site.
Right.
And including that, he's 11 and 8 in the playoffs. 11 and 8. Tom is 32 and 11 in the playoffs.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. Prior to this year, how many road playoff wins had Tom Brady had of those 32?
Okay, fair enough. But since that Super Bowl run, Aaron Rodgers is 7 and 7 in the postseason.
Right.
32 and 11. Again, he won a lot of games in the AFC East, so it gave him a lot more home games. But that's a 74% winning percentage. He's won 74% of his playoff games, while Aaron has won 58% of his playoff games. And you can talk defense all you want to me that Tom had the better defense, Tom had the better defense.
Did he not?
Did Tom have the better supporting cast on offense? Because I think you're seeing Bill Belichick get exposed right on schedule. It's what I've been trying to tell you for 5 years on this show.
So if you don't mind me asking, Skip, if you're saying defense doesn't really matter, why do you...
No, I'll give you slight edges on defense, although over the last 3 or 4 years, that has started to decline.
Let me ask you a question. The greatest passing performance in postseason history, who has that?
Well,
Tom
Brady
Brady, right?
does.
And why didn't he win that game?
Because Belichick's defense gave up 41 points to the backup quarterback.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's why I said in the last 4 years, that started to go way south.
Yeah.
Because in that game, Belichick inexplicably, mysteriously didn't play Malcolm Butler the whole game, who had played the most snaps of any player on his defense, and I still don't know what happened, and I think Tom Brady will never forgive or forget that one.
Well, I think Aaron Rodgers' defense gave up 40 points to Atlanta in that championship game.
Okay.
Skip, this is what Aaron Rodgers, and you mentioned it, he's talked about this basically from the beginning of the season. Aaron Rodgers believes that had I had more NFC championship games at Lambeau, I would have more appearances than the Super Bowl. So now this is his opportunity. This is what he's talked about. Tom Tom Brady got out of New England, says, I do not have the weapons, I do not have the people around me to get to and compete for Super Bowls. That's all I'm judged by. That's all I care to play up. I don't care about stats. I don't care about 500-600 passing touchdowns. I don't care about 80,000 passing yards. Super Bowls is what drives this man. And he realized he did not have the talent. Coach Belichick could no longer shop for the grocery and give him a menu that could go out there and he would like. Okay. So he's like, I'm loading up, like Jed Clampett did, Skip. He loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly Hills. He loaded up the truck and headed south. And he landed in Tampa. So there's a lot of pressure on Tom Brady as Aaron Rodgers because Tom Brady left Coach Belichick for one reason. It wasn't just to get away. It was to get away and win, to show I can win without you.
Okay, but Belichick clearly wanted to show I can win without him.
Yeah, they wanted to show they...
Okay, all right,
yes.
So I got that. But this is the only way I will ever compare Bill Belichick to Michael Jeffrey Jordan. They're similar in team building because Michael Jordan, I hate to even have to talk about this, but I always do, as a GM in Charlotte, he's proving to be the worst in the history of the league.
Yeah.
They are an atrocity.
Yes.
In team building.
I thought you were going to say they were the same in ruthlessness.
No, well, that I'll give you that.
Because they are pretty callous, Skip.
All right, but Belichick is getting more and more exposed as a team builder because he did give Tom Randy Moss for a minute.
Right.
He had him for a minute.
Right.
It was really just the 2007 run because then Randy started to unravel right after that.
Right.
So I will give you that one. But after that, you start comparing help on offense. Well, look who Aaron has had. He's had, these are Pro Bowl receivers starting with our man Greg Jennings and Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson and obviously Devontae over the last 4 years.
Skip, the thing that Coach Belichick, the reason why Coach Belichick doesn't get more criticism for his team building because what? He hit on Brady, he hit on Gronk.
Okay.
And you see what came out of that. You're talking about 6 who. So, Skip, I don't care what else happened.
Did he hit on Brady or luck into Brady in the 6th round? Do you think it was because of him? Was it his call? They say one of the scouts pushed for Tom Brady.
Skip, the way I look at it, I don't know if you play this, but I think the Powerball is about $850 million. Whether I pick the number, they give it to me by quick pick. If I get all 6 of those numbers, I'm going to pick that check up.
Okay.
So and Coach Belichick is saying...
He got all 6 of the numbers.
Exactly.
He did. He got all 6. And that man not only became the greatest quarterback to me, but he became the greatest leader. And he was able to rise above Belichick and allow Belichick to be completely, to me, out of control as a head coach because he got to coach however he wanted.
Right.
If it was his way or the highway, and if he didn't like your act, he sent you packing because he could get away with it because he had the GOAT quarterback.
You're exactly right. Because if one time, if Brady would have ever bucked at anything Coach Belichick said or done, then you'd have had other guys doing it. But Skip, if that guy stays in line, as accomplished as he is, and as financially set as he stay in line, how can anybody else get out of line? You've heard guys say when they go try to get a contract with Coach Belichick, and the first thing he said, well, Brady makes this. We can't pay you more than Brady.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So if Brady would have said, I need $30 million to stay, then everybody else's salaries could have gone up.
Okay, but he didn't.
He did not.
Okay, so I'm back to my only point that I give you. If you want to talk about box office appeal, Aaron's got it because even I'm fascinated watching him because to me, from what I know about this game and about playing that position, he has the worst footwork of any quarterback I've ever watched, and it does not matter. It actually adds to his mystique because everything is off balance. It's like...
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
The release is so
yeah.
quick, but the footwork is horrendously bad. Nobody would teach it or coach it or allow it, except his arm talent is so supreme that he gets away with it. But in leadership, which is about, I'm going to say a third of that position because it is the leadership position to me in all of sports, I will take Brady 100 times over 100 Aaron Rodgers.
I think this Aaron Rodgers over the last couple of years in leadership compared to the old Aaron Rodgers are totally different. And you're probably right, Skip. I just think the thing is now, I see a different Aaron Rodgers in terms of leadership.
Maybe he got a little humbled by two things. There was that huge Bleacher Report bombshell about his lack of leadership
Yes.
and how he was called out internally by the people at the top.
Right.
And that he was even cut out of the hiring
Yes.
process for Matt LaFleur,
Yeah.
that he was informed over the phone,
Right.
hey, we have gone this direction.
Right.
And the quote was in the piece, which was denied at the top, but
Right.
it was, don't you be the problem
Right.
going forward.
And what would he do, Skip? If somebody made a mistake, he would show them up. I see less of that now. That's something that the other guys, wouldn't,
Yeah, that.